That's amazing.
Well, it's my life. This is important.
Yes, it is. Definitely. Phyllis is coming in. That's nice. Always like having
Right.
here.
I know Sandy can't be with us. Well, she didn't think she could anyway. They're kind of running errands, and so she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate everyone carving out this time and just making it. It's no small thing to show up to a meeting.
It's wonderful, though. You make it wonderful. Paige makes it wonderful.
We
It's
make
just
it
a
wonderful.
no. It's just I miss it when I'm not here. So
Yeah, community is really
it
important.
is.
You
It
know?
is. That's
Especially for rare mothers, mothers with neurotypical children, you know?
mm-hmm, very different.
Yeah. There's Phyllis. Hi, Phyllis. I think you're still muted, Phyllis, if you want us to hear you. Muted and maybe frozen. So is there anything in particular that anyone just wants to say before we meditate? Just wondering if there's anything that just could be, needs to be said, wants to be said. Nothing pressing. Well, how about we just even begin with some breaths, and then we'll meditate again on deepening into the we and this nuanced process of really being together and taking care of each other with a rare child is has a lot of subtlety. So I'd like to go into the subtlety. And I was reading a little bit in this book again. I mentioned this book, Stan Tatkin's Wired for Love book, that speaks about attachment. It's actually a really good layperson's guide to attachment material, and he breaks it down into his anchor island wave metaphors for the different attachment styles, the 3 attachment styles. And so really there's this piece with the we, where to be a couple is to understand each other, to really understand each other. Understand, it's like to study, to bring your curiosity and study what really, what really makes my partner, how do they work? It's like if you become an expert on them and they become an expert on you, you can really take care of each other, you can really tend to each other. Like small, I can give a very minor example. This morning, I got off my exercise machine and my computer headphones weren't working. The jack wasn't working. The AirPods weren't working. I was like, I don't know what happened. It's a relatively new computer. And so I asked my partner, who's a tech expert, to help me out. And he started to help me. He's like, well, you just have to restart the computer. Okay, that makes sense. And then he went downstairs. We're in California. He went downstairs. He said, I really need to take a hot tub before I start my meeting. He has a stand-up meeting for his work. And I was just kind of like, wait a minute. What about me and my need? I have a meeting here. Can you take 2 more minutes? So to really reach me, it would have been that he would have said, shaved 2 minutes off of his hot tub time, which is important. We need our hot tub time. We need our meditation. We need all the things we need, exercise, relaxation, whatever, prayer time, whatever we need to take care of ourselves. And then eventually he did come back up and help me, but it was a little bit like we got a little out of sync in there because we weren't tending to each other in the way that we needed to be tended to. So we will make a small repair later. It was just a small moment. But these are the kind of things that he actually knows me well enough to know that I like things to get done completely, especially things that are concerning my technical reality for when I need, leading a session. And his way of working is to do things in pieces. He leaves things in pieces. He's got multiple projects going in pieces. And he did come back up. But in the meanwhile, anyway, it's a process of studying each other and then prioritizing. I'm going to really take care of you the way you need to be taken care of, even if it inconveniences me slightly. But we both do that. It's not a one-way street. I just want to be really clear. I don't have the expectation that he's going to consistently drop whatever he's doing to help me, even though I would like that. It's not a realistic expectation by any stretch of the imagination. So it's a process to get to know and to really internalize, because what are you getting to know? You're getting to know the other person's nervous system. It's deep. It's not just their personality. It's not just your preferences and your personality. It's not a thought. This is my partner, your husband, your partner, taking care of you, helping you to settle in your system. I mean, I can settle in my system. And sometimes there are moments where a little bit of co-regulation is so helpful, just like you do with your children. You settle them down by settling in yourself. So let's meditate on that and see what comes forth and see if does any of that resonate for you in terms of your ability to know yourself, know your partner, prioritize them, even when you don't feel like it sometimes, and vice versa, that they prioritize you, because when you do that, it strengthens this couple bubble, this place that we're living in together, that then is the pillar for our family and for us to really take care of our rare child or any other children that we may have, pets, etc. Sometimes the examples arise right away. I mean, I don't know if you find this also, that as soon as, very often in my work and with groups or individuals, whatever someone else is working on, it's actually what I'm working on. It's like the perfect thing for me to just get dialed into the next level. So let us meditate on that. So if you want to put your things down that you might be doing, well, finish your breakfast. If you're eating breakfast, please go ahead. And we'll just meditate a little. So letting yourself get really comfortable. Comfortable in your seat. And maybe that means putting both feet on the floor, adjusting your pillows or your chair, or lying down if that's what you need to do. And let your spine be long. Let your spine be long. Allowing your shoulders to drop down. And then perhaps you can allow your jaw to soften. Allowing the jaw to soften and everything can relax. Setting aside all of your tasks that have come before. And everything you'll have to do later today that's on your agenda. And I wonder if you can let your awareness expand out sideways on the right side and the left. Breathe into this expanded awareness. And then let that expansion continue in front and back. And then feel yourself sitting in the center center of your heart. Bringing curiosity. This is the place where you can receive yourself, receive your own value. Receive yourself with kindness. Receive yourself with kindness. Noticing what that feels like in your body. You might want to put a hand on your heart. Just feeling how it is to receive yourself with kindness and care. And by doing this, you are developing the capacity to receive your husband, partner, with kindness and care, bringing curiosity to who they are and how you might best tend to them. Just noticing what it's like to flow kindness to yourself and to expand your ability to flow and offer kindness to your husband, to your partner, this person who is your teammate in life. And together you care for your family, for your rare child, for your entire family. And what would it be like to cultivate this capacity for kindness and caring? What are you already doing in your life day to day that is building this muscle? And what is another step that you could take to grow this kindness and understanding between you? So let's just take a few minutes and reflect on those questions. What am I already doing to grow and share kindness in my relationship? Growing understanding. What am I already doing? And what is my next step? So I'll just set a timer for 5 minutes. You can come out of meditation slowly, take your time, and then we'll write in our journals for just a few minutes, starting now. Just allowing yourself to finish up whatever you're writing. And I'm wondering what might have come up for you. What came up in that inquiry or that meditation? You know, what are you already doing to tend to your couple bubble, to bring kindness and understanding, and really like the very practical things, the way you're being with yourself and the things that you're actually, how you're being with your husband or partner, and then also what are you actually doing? Who wants to share?
I'll share something because it was similar to what happened with you and your husband this morning, or your partner. I feel like we do a lot. I've known my husband for 3 years. I feel like we do a lot together. That was important to us. We met in our 50s and we talked about what was important to us before we got married. But we met in a nightclub over a bottle of wine. And most of our celebrations are with a special bottle of wine, or actually we go for in a wine tasting, we would choose the cheapest wine, but we celebrate a lot over a bottle of wine. And we got into the habit where we have a glass of wine in the evenings. We love it. And on those times where I've had a challenging day with my son, we tend to drink more wine. But last night, my husband was talking about my day. He was asking me about what I'm going to do today. And I told him about this. You know, he knows about it, but he said, what exactly do you do? And I told him we spend some time meditating. And he said, you do that stuff? You like that stuff? And I said, well, here's what it is for me. Here's what it does. You know, after I've had a challenging day with my son, we both sit down and we say, we deserve this glass of wine right now. We really need a glass of wine. It's been really tough. And we don't even have my son all the time. But I said, that's what this group does for me, along with the journaling and just remembering, especially looking back in the journaling, just to stop and enjoy the moment. I don't have to stop and enjoy a glass of wine. It's just meditating, enjoying the moment. And honestly, when I meditate, a lot of things that come to my mind are blessings, because I probably focus too much on the bad stuff that goes on with him. Not with my husband. That's like a great relationship, but with my son.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear, Julie. That this is, because that is the truth, is that meditation can actually replace wine. For sure. It's another option for wine, has its own place, a nice glass of wine. When we can be in right relationship to alcohol, that's wonderful. And this is an option to just drop down. So I'm so glad. And did he understand? Could he take that in? Did you feel like he could receive your explanation in relationship to meditation in this group?
It's interesting. His response was, okay, I kind of remember something like that when we read, because when we got together, we also decided we would both read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that book, because really, if you want to get to know my little quirks, it's in that book. And I was thinking, well, mine are too. So we both decided we would read it again with the other person in mind. So he said, okay, I kind of get it. I don't need that, but I kind of get it for you. That was good.
Nice. So he was supportive. That's beautiful, right? I don't totally understand. I don't totally get it. And I get it works for you. And so I'm cheering you on and supporting you in doing that. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, who knows? Maybe he'll even try it sometime. You could say, honey, tonight, before we drink our wine, let's just sit quietly for 5 minutes. See what happens. Kind of like
pray together. And that's the extent of his meditation process.
Yeah. Meditation and prayer are close compadres. Thank you. What else is here? Lovely ones.
I wanted to just reflect that, Julia, I think I'm really impressed by that intentionality by which you guys sat down to read that book together. And I think somebody last week mentioned listening to a book together. Yeah. And I was like, my husband and I, we drove to Boston and back this week. And I had like meant to like actually listen to Padma's book while we were doing that. But we had gotten into like a pretty sticky fight the day before. And I didn't want it to be like, I just wanted to like move on from that. But yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing. And I just love to hear like how invested your partners are in like doing that sort of intentional time together. It's awesome. I think for me, the like, what am I doing already is probably the like self-work, like being here and all the self-care I'm doing to kind of be in a good place. Be in a good relationship with the alcohol, which I definitely find meditation can be a bit of an antidote to kind of that like need to relax at the end of a day. But I'm not perfect. And what I think my husband and I need to do together is like more of that kind of partnering, like carving out more of that partnering time. It's really hard for me to get time with him. He works really hard and he works every night after dinner. Like the moment we put the kids to bed, he works all night. We don't go to bed at the same time. We don't wake up at the same time. And he's just always working. And so on the weekends, I think I just need to like really be intentional and maybe what that would look like instead of like focusing on a like relationship book, which I think might be too scary for him maybe, or just like not fun for him, would just be to be on a walk with the kids in the stroller. They can both fit in one stroller still. So maybe just like put them in a stroller and be out on a walk and kind of talk through things, because then we're moving, which helps us both. And we're side by side, which helps us both. And I think that would be good. We got into a situation on Saturday where we had a really great morning and as a whole family. And then we remembered like 20 minutes before Hadley, our daughter's dance rehearsal, which is 25 minutes away, that she had it. And, you know, it's generally my responsibility to like remember things. And I was the person who was like, hey, maybe she should be in the Nutcracker this year. It'd be fun for her. And so I kind of was responsible for all of that. And we didn't remember. So she was going to be a little late. And it like really threw my husband through a loop. And I felt like he kind of punished me the rest of the day, just being kind of cold to me, because he, as I mentioned before, has very high expectations for organization and like da da da. And so I'd be curious, Padma and others, my form of managing that situation was to tell him that it was inappropriate, but that I would be happy to talk about it, like tell him the way he was treating me was inappropriate, but I'd be happy to talk about it. Oh no, did I freeze?
Yeah, you're frozen, but we can still hear you.
Can y'all hear
Now
me?
it seems like you're back. Yeah.
Okay. And I just like went to bed right after the kids went to bed because I knew that it wasn't going to be able to be resolved that night. And the next morning, the first thing he said was, I'm so sorry. You know, I'm so sorry for treating you that way. I was harping on the negative. And I think that's me learning his style, because I think before I would have tried to solve it that night. And now I know he can't solve it that day. He can't reset.
Yeah.
Is that good enough?
Well, did it work?
Yeah. I mean, it feels kind of avoidant.
Well, it seems like, I don't know exactly. I mean, maybe both of you are. And if the thing is, if you know that someone has a slower processing speed and you realize, like, if I try and get you to, let's just talk about it right now. Let's work it through right now. Come on. And that doesn't work, then give them space.
Mhm.
We gave him space. And the very first thing he said was, I'm so sorry. And that's beautiful. Then that seems like that works. That worked, and it does work. And then from there, when there's an appropriate moment to talk about, if to interrupt that cold shoulder thing, and like the harping on the negative, as you said, because I just feel like that's it's painful,
It was evil eye gazes.
Yeah. So things like,
Really hard. Those are really
yeah,
hard.
it's very hard. It's hard and it feels harsh. And we've talked about it. Things like evil eye gazes, eye rolls, kerfluffily, like that, like all that stuff. No, we don't do that. So making it within the container, we say, we are allowed to do this and we are not allowed to do that. Of course, any kind of physical violence is completely off the table, obviously. And also, and all words and gestures, these are really hurtful. So I would in the right moment, just kind of craft, co-create, what creates a safe container? Like, what makes us feel safe here? Because that kind of evil eye thing, that's not creating safety at all. Yeah. So I would tend to that in the right moment. And I know also my partner works for a startup and he was going back to work every night after dinner. And I just said, honey, no, let's not do this. Like, at least maybe one night or two nights, because I understand it's a startup, deadlines, et cetera. But what's more important, right? We talked about last week, people before things. The people in your family are more important than whatever high-powered job someone is doing. And so to align your priorities is useful. And the other thing that's also useful, and I don't know if when we're on different schedules, which does happen especially when kids are younger, just making sure there's that connection. Good night. I'm saying good night to you, even though you're going to stay up 2 more hours and work. And then in the morning, I'm getting up earlier, but I'm going to give you a kiss on the cheek or just snuggle in for a few minutes, because that's that continued connection. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for this consistent connectivity, showing that I care, showing that we care about each other. So I would say.
Helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I was just going to say, to add to that, I feel like sometimes, like my husband also has worked in a startup and it's now growing. So less of a startup and he's less crazy, but I feel like with my son's diagnosis, like he made it a priority to like have dinner with us or help put the kids to bed or things like that. But like, so he felt like he was really prioritizing the family and investing in that. And I felt like for a while, like all of our needs as a couple like fell out because all of his investment in our family was toward our children and like our family unit. And I don't think either of us really realized it until like we started feeling really distant because like we weren't connecting. And I think it took a while for us to be like, oh, like I need you to prioritize like us as a couple and not just like, I'm okay if you skip dinner or skip bedtime a couple nights a week, but I need an hour of your attention, just me, like to have a cup of tea or like whatever, or maybe we're not going to go to bed at the same time, but like you come and we just like have like pillow time in bed. Like we just sit in bed and talk and then I'm going to go to sleep and you're going to go back to work. But like, I felt like it was really hard because I think I felt guilty being like, you're putting a lot of like, I know you have limited time and you're putting that time into our family, but like, I'm not feeling filled by that because it was directed toward our children.
Yeah, it's so good. And really this thing of like asking for what you need and putting time on the calendar. Put time on the calendar. That's the only way it happens. I know the things that happen, there on my calendar. Other things might happen, but they might happen. So yeah, I'm glad you did that, Katie. And there is that distinction between we're taking care of our family unit and we're taking care of our couple. So I don't know if there are any other insights from people who've been married a long time.
The one other thing I was just going to add was that I felt like it was easier. We also had to put stuff on our shared calendar. Like if we didn't schedule it as like an appointment, and it ended up being, I found that both of us were like tired and not like at night after the kids have gone to bed is not necessarily our best time. It's usually like we're too tired and or something has triggered us through the day, whether each other or like a kid. And so like, it's not our best time to like sit and like connect. And we also, I think like Laura said, like we connect well when we're like hiking or walking or moving, like sometimes actually not sitting face to face, or like we call it windshield time, like on car trips, to talk when you're not like not having eye contact is actually like, it's like less, I don't know. I feel like sometimes we can be most vulnerable with each other when we're not like just sitting still. And we're not perfect at this. I don't mean to say that we're great, but I'm thinking of the stuff that has worked and that we work on is scheduling time during the day, like when we have childcare or like, and for some reason, my husband finds it easier sometimes to like block that hour as a meeting on his calendar than to like have that time at the end of the day when he feels stressed because it's getting late and he's got 2 more hours of work and we're both just too tired to like really connect. Like that sort of day dates, even if it's just a walk, like has been helpful because we're fresher and like more engaged with each other, intentional.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, and that's good to know. That's part of studying how you both kind of function. Oh, we actually can be more vulnerable when we're having side-by-side time. And for others, it might be, oh, I can be most vulnerable and feel most connected when I'm really like, I'm someone who just really likes the direct eye contact. And also I noticed that in certain situations when things are hard, especially, it's useful to have that space. Like I'm in my space and you're in your space and we're not, and we can overlap. It's less threatening and more sort of, there's a safety to it. Sarah.
I was going to just say that we are older and have been at it a long time. However, we have 2 adult daughters living in our house. And so private time with mom and dad is not happening. And I mean, their bedrooms are right there. So, it's just like eagle ears and eyes all the time. And with Amy, it's not that big a deal, but with Kelly, it is. And so I don't know how to find that kind of quality time together. Now things have changed a little bit since the pandemic's lightened up a bit, and our one daughter has a job, and so she's gone during the day, and Amy is in her day program during the day. So now we have daytime that's our together time, and so things have changed. But back to Laura, my parents gave us this advice before we married, and it was the advice that had been handed down from their parents was to never go to bed angry. And we've taken that to heart, and we really try to make amends before nighttime falls. And we do go to bed at different times. I'm a early to bed and early to rise girl, and he's late and late. And so we just don't mesh there. But as a couple, we really do mesh, and we really do find time when we need to. And I feel like we have a really good relationship that involves a lot of kindness. And so And I'm new to meditation. I will say that this is probably my second or third time now. So I'm learning. And so I have a hard time writing down any thoughts that I have on the matter. Um, but I do take note of what all of you say and understand, and have been in those kind of situations before. So I do get it. Um, but the never go to bed angry has really helped us along the way.
Thank you. Yeah, if you can do it, it's wonderful. And it depends on whether you're available for that.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I feel like with respect to the not going to bed angry, I find that I can't say that we are very good at that, but I think that both of us, and maybe more me, like need more time sort of to process before I can, like, I think my husband would love to like never go to bed angry and like resolve everything. And I just am not, like, I need sort of time to process, like to get through my emotional state. And it takes me a lot longer than him to kind of reach conclusion. And I think that we've come to sort of like a way of like acknowledging that. So we're not like well, no, we're not perfect at this either. I can think of two instances where I've gone to bed like feeling still like worked up, but I think we try to get to the place where sort of we're leave something at a neutral place to come back to, but so it's not resolved, but it's at least, I feel like we need to be able to like acknowledge, not be in the midst of a fight, but like, I don't know, sort of like Laura was saying, like, you know, I'm going to bed, but you know, and I need you to know that this was not okay. I think we try to like make sure we at least we're not going to bed angry while the other person has no idea what's going on.
Right. Definitely not that. Definitely not. And just to add on, because I think that's really important, is it's like to hold both, like I love you, and that wasn't okay. That the love isn't wavering. It's just that the behavior isn't working. The love is steady and the behavior needs to shift, because this isn't something I want to live in, this way of treating each other, you know, that we just really hold that inner pillar of love, which is where holding this connection and this inner pillar of self-love is so good. Because what we do in here, then we can do in the relationship. I'm holding love inside myself no matter what. And then I'm still holding, I love you. And that was kind of wonky. I kind of, you know, made everything a little jangly over here. And I love you. And like, let's find a better way. Let's find a more graceful way of being with each other. That's where the studying comes in. If you could become an expert on the other person. Wow, how do they really work? Well, Katie needs a bunch of time to process. And so what's your husband's name, Katie?
Andrew.
So Andrew can know, oh, Katie needs time. I'm sure he does know at this point, like that Katie needs time to process, and I'm not going to push on her to resolve, because that's just not going to really work. So that's why we're paying attention. That's why we're bringing curiosity. We're bringing curiosity and kindness. And I just want to say, being in a relationship as a rare mother, not easy. This is a lot of challenges that we're dealing with. This is like high level human navigation that you're in. So I just really want to acknowledge that. Phyllis, would you like to add something? Love to hear your voice.
Thank you all for everything that you said. I am pretty worn out this week because of the Wellfest, and I got to talk to a lot of old friends. So I've been talking all week, and I thought, gee, I'll come, but I don't want to say anything. And I didn't need to say anything. You girls shared your thoughts and feelings and what was happening with you, and it validated what's going on in my life with my relationship. So I just want to thank you. And I'm glad I came. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. And thank you for showing up. That's exemplary. And also the truth is you can come anytime if you're exhausted. You could lay down the whole time with your eyes closed, Phyllis or any of us, and you'll still get a ton out of it. And also just bringing your presence is enough. It's wonderful to hear from everyone, and your presence is a contribution. Showing up when you're tired. That's what it is. Showing up even though. Because you matter, because we matter. Oh, yes.
I was wondering what that person's name was that wrote the book you talked of earlier.
Stan Tatkin, Tatkin. It's a really good book. He has several books, but this is a really good one. It's really, really accessible. He relates it, as you could maybe see, that's a brain and a heart. So it's sort of the neurobiology of love and attachment. How understanding your partner's brain and attachment style can help you diffuse conflict and build a secure relationship. It's a tall order.
Thank you.
He's pretty expert. He's been at it a while.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What else? Did anything get touched? Anyone? We have a few more minutes.
I'd like to say my first marriage, that the father of my son with cat cry syndrome, and my son's now 40, it failed, but I would base that on two main factors. He never really could accept Jimmy. His way of doing things was to beat him into normality. So I hid a lot of Jimmy's behaviors from him because of that. My husband had no idea that my son was still in diapers at age 9, but he didn't really care to be around him either. But that was a big factor. And the other factor was we never really built anything together as a couple. We started having children as I was a junior in high school. So we started our family and just got married because that's what you do when I was young, and both of our families were religious. Then shortly after our son, we had a daughter, and it was just the disability and life moving along and not building anything together as a couple. It's strange how I made it 32 years, but we raised the kids on a remote island in Alaska, and it's not easy to get off of a remote island, but 32 years. And those were the two main factors. He never really accepted the disability, and we didn't really build anything together as a couple.
Yes, I could see how that marriage would fail. And you bring a good point up, which is this building something together, having shared. It doesn't have to be all your activities, but something that you are doing together, a project. And I just also want to bring in, because I'm a huge fan of touch, just like foot rub, back rub, hand rub for these hands that, type and work and do all these things, or face, just like gently touching each other's faces, bringing in kind of intimacy through non-sexual touch, which is something that you could do even if your children are in the house, right? Because it's nourishing, it's intimate, but we're not making a ton of, it's not, and there's nothing inappropriate about it, even if it would be nice to have private space for that, of course. And if our kids are around and they see their parents rubbing each other's hands or feet, or just gently touching each other's face, for me, I like that imprint of gentle touch for our children to see. that becomes kind of a way of being with each other. Now, touch is one of my love languages. So you have to find, that's part of the studying, right? What works? That might not work for you. That might not work for your husband. But I really am a fan of non-sexual touching, as well as having, intimate time, private time. It just is very nourishing, and you don't need a massage table. You could get a massage table. You could have a massage table. And if you have a massage table, you will get more massages. Trust me. Somebody told me to get one. I got one 25 years ago, and I do get massage and give massage, even though I'm not trained in massage. And P.S., you don't have to be trained in massage to touch and give body work, because you can discover that's part of being curious. Oh, I'm being curious. Well, what works for your body? Some people like really just digging in, excavating, and other people like much more gentle, or kind of chopping, or there's so many things you can do. So just exploring that, and you don't need fancy oils. You could get fancy oils, but you don't need fancy oils. So highly recommend. Okay, Laura, good to see you. We're just about done. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add? So what are we going to practice, and how can you, I heard a little bit about how we could, what's our next step? What's your next step? How can you grow this curiosity and kindness even more? Yes, Sherry.
Gonna go for the touching.
Great. Yeah. Touch is good.
And we do a wine time at night too. I'm a fan of it, and I don't. My dad is 90, and he and his lady friend, it's every night 5 o'clock. They have a glass of wine, and I think it's lovely. I do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a sacrament.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, if it's a choice between sitting down and watching an episode of something and doing 20 minutes or 15 minutes each of massage, you could choose that. You could say, sometimes I love to watch an episode of something. And then other times we say, tonight's body work. But you got to set each other up for that, because you don't want to be too full, and you just want to create that kind of space, and, and set the stage. Have things be quiet, have a little gentle music, light a candle, just have it be kind of a sacred time for being together. So together we're growing our shared sacred space, loving space. Let's grow that space together. That's one more option.
And just to build off that, I feel like setting the stage, I think, is sort of one of the things that I want to work on, because I think sometimes my husband and I, one of us is ready to have a cup of tea and sit on the couch or do a massage or something, and the other one of us just needs to zone out and watch TV. And we're not always I think each of us could be better at communicating, here's where I am right now. I need to be present and understand where I am right now, because maybe I can do that with him on the couch and a massage and have a cup of tea, but that may be really connecting for him and not so much for me, because I wasn't into it. But I think just being understanding my own state and understanding his state, and kind of like a warning shot if I'm not in the right place to have that conversation or whatever activity he's proposing, so that he doesn't feel like it's a rejection and I don't feel like it's a burden, whatever activity that we're engaging in. So I think just getting present with ourselves and communicating where we are, so that we can make the most of whatever time we have together, and we both feel connected at the end of it, rather than one feeling like that was amazing, and the other feeling like that was a real chore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, checking in with yourself and yourselves. And then also what I find is, again, with the calendar, we scheduling this is body work. Body work's on the calendar. Then throughout the whole day, you're like, okay, body work, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, body work, whatever that is. And then you're kind of geared up for that. The same way, if I'm going to do like a hard bike ride, I gear up for the hard bike ride. I say, okay, I have time. I'm ready for it. I'm going to take a hard bike ride.
I don't know if it's our age, but we will say, I'm not ready right now, but in 5 minutes, I'd like to do such and such. And then we seem to rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. Love that. The 5 minute thing, like, I'm not ready just now. Yep. And then see if you can shift your state or do whatever you need to do to arrive in the, okay, now we're going to do some touching, or, oh, now we're just going to zone out and watch a show together, and I'll hold your hand and we'll sip our tea or our wine and just watch a show, and just enjoy that. So I would say, find a way to grow, to develop your, to hone your ability to be an expert on your partner. And you could, if they're open to it, throw that into the pot and say, hey, let's practice studying each other, not in a scrutinizing kind of way or an analytical kind of way, but rather, oh, I'm just really noticing you. And it might be while you're having coffee in the morning, they're not even paying attention, you're not talking, but you're just like, oh, let me really notice this person, who they are, how they move, what they like, what they don't like, what they're really super sensitive to. Someone's really sensitive to noise. Another person's, sensitive to whatever. So study each other. That's the homework. Thank you for being here today. So lovely to share time and space with you. Oh, I like this, Phyllis. I look forward to being in person one day where we can all actually hug.
Mm-hmm.
Holding that as a possibility. Paige, do you want to say anything?
Nope. Just, I'm glad you all could make it today, and I hope to see you next week.
Yes. Thank you all for being here. Reach out to each other. Feel free to reach out to me, and enjoy your week.
Thank
Okay.
you.
See you
Thank
next
you.
time. So well.